This show is clean, pretty much.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 677. Hello, it's Mike Matthews broadcasting from the last place on earth, located somewhere in Podcastro Valley, California. Today, Madame Rootabega, Valentino, Bison Bentley, plus it's the return of the much-missed feature, the MIKELOPEDIA INSANICA, where we look at some recent interesting stories that have to do with the world of art. We were going to do You Know Dat, but I realized that Mike's Daily Podcast, we've done that more recently than the MIKELOPEDIA INSANICA, so we thought we'd go to the MIKELOPEDIA INSANICA, and that's that. Mike's Daily Podcast. What? That was fascinating, Mike. Thanks for telling me about that. And then also, there's something you might want to know about Facebook and the reasons why you go there, and something that has changed that will help the way you talk to people that you know that are deranged. And that's because Mike's Daily Podcast. Facebook's always trying to be on the leading edge of things, right? Aren't they just annoying like that? So, Mike's, this is Daily 677 of the show. Yeah! You know, on May 7th, coming up in, is that next week? Yeah, I think it is. So, we're going to be 3 years old. May 7th. Yeah. Isn't that amazing? Wow. You can look it up on the website, MIKES-DAILY-PODCAST-Art.4-28-14. I made an announcement on May 6th saying that tomorrow I got a new show that I'm going to kick off, and then we did it. And May 7th was when it all started. So if we could finally get a sponsor for this show after being on the internets for 3 years, that would be really cool. So if you know anybody, please let them know to sponsor this show, because this guy likes to rhyme things and he likes to sing, and okay, enough of that. I was thinking today about the funny names of the women that work on NPR News. I am a big NPR News junkie. I listen to the podcast. I don't actually listen to my local NPR affiliate because I don't like them much. So I listen to the podcast through my Stitcher radio app, which you can find this show on the Stitcher radio app as well. Just type in Mike's Daily Podcast and I pop up. But NPR's newscasts are fascinating. They're about 5 minutes long, and they often feature women journalists with interesting names like Netta Ulabi or Lakshmi Singh or Windsor Johnson. Do those sound made up or what? Like Lakshmi Singh sounds like an Americanized version of lactating schming, which I don't know. Maybe there's someone named Schming who is lactating. That's why I'm thinking of that. I don't know. But I am lactose intolerant. I should just point that out for no apparent reason. Then there is the name Netta Ulabi, which sounds like a spread you'd put on your bread in the morning for a delicious breakfast treat. No? And then there is this Windsor Johnson, which sounds like the type of tie I tie is a Windsor Johnson. Can you hear that? That's a sound. I'm scratching my chest, and that's the sound it makes. Ew. So there's also... So Windsor Johnson, is she related to the wonderful Magic Johnson? If she is, she's related to royalty. And then there is Stephen Colbert. No, he's not a journalist on NPR, but he is, of course, this rising entertainment figure. He's already been a guest at White House functions. He sat next to Michelle Obama during a recent dinner, and now, of course, he is taking over for David Letterman when he leaves next year. But I have to tell you, I'm all happy for him, and now I feel like my job is done. I feel like I don't need to watch the Colbert Report anymore because I am a bit tired. I try and watch it, and I'm like, why? Why are the people cheering him? And then that goes on for about 5 minutes at the beginning of the show. I know the beginning of this show is a bit sketchy, what with me singing and all. But at least I'm not going, yay, woo, yay, and then me shouting over that. Although that would be an interesting beginning. And I don't know. I know he's putting on an act that he's not really conservative and being a conservative wacko, but it just, I'm like, okay, we've seen you do that. Let's see you do the talk show host thing. Let's see you do the late night thing. I wish him all the best. I'm just not watching a show anymore. And then also, it just, what that show is, what the Daily Show is, all that is making fun of the ridiculousness that is the 24-hour news channels. And okay, you know what? Don't watch 24-hour news channels. Just don't. We all know they're ridiculous. We all know that the news that they deliver is exactly the same as you can find on the internet right now. There is no reason why you should watch 24-hour news, or even network news for that matter. You can get your news from the internet. When the Daily Show first started, we had the internet, but we didn't have it at the full extreme punch that it's at right now. And so it was funny. It was like, oh yeah, okay, wow. And now we got news. We can get news from the real sources, from the real writers in the field, from the funny named NPR news correspondents that are brilliant. I'm making fun of their names, not them. Mike Matthews is a boring name. I wish I had a cool name like Lactating Shmeen. So there is what I have to say about that. I'm no longer watching the Colbert Report. I'm no longer watching the Daily Show. I'll watch it once in a while. It is extremely funny. And Jon Stewart is just genius. I love his humor, his delivery, his interviewing skills are wondrous. But it's all it is making fun of the 24-hour news shows and the network news. And you know what? If you make fun of them, you draw more attention to them. So I don't see what the point is. That we all know Bill O'Reilly is nuts, and Sean Hannity, who I worked with at KCSB in Santa Barbara when he was just starting out, when he was a nobody, and he was a sexist, racist pig back then. So, very nice guy. When I walked down the hall, he'd be like, "Hey, Mike, how's it going?" Seriously, this is true. This actually happened. I knew him back then. I didn't know what his leanings were. Had I known, I'd be like, wow, okay, well, that's not going to go very far. And you know what, Mike, it did go very far. Quite far indeed. And I'm the one that's podcasting in the last place on earth. With the laundry machine just beeped. Did you hear that? This is fantastic radio. Look who just walked in. Hello, Michael Masters. This is Madame Rootabega, and let me hear you scratch your chest again. Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, I'll stop doing that. Michael Matthew, I have such a strange name. Maybe I should become a correspondent on the NPR News. Ooh, yeah, Madame Rootabega. That fits right in. Thank you. You're welcome. Look who else walked in just now.
Hello there, Mike. This is Valentino, the birthing attendant.
And this is Bison Bentley. Do you know that?
Mike, we thinks that you are a little bit too spoiled day. What are you gonna do when the internet goes down? You will have to rely on the television to find out when there's like breaking news or a major catastrophe or whatever day.
Yeah, Mike, you're taking it all for granted. Maybe the internet is just part of your imagination. Maybe it doesn't really exist at all. Do you know that? Wow, that's really Matrixy what you're saying there. Maybe all reality is the internet. That's...
Okay, you're freaking us out there.
Yeah, watch me dodge the bullets right now. Yeah.
Okay.
Mike, you're just what the hell? You're Wachowski brothering us right now. Do you know that? Yeah, a little bit. Sorry. Well, this is fascinating. So, speaking of the internets, Facebook Messenger now has video. The updated app comes with tools to help people add all types of content to chats as quickly as possible. Do you think people are going to actually be using video? They released a new version of Messenger for iOS. Does that mean, because I have Messenger on my smartphone, I must have it now because it automatically updated. So that allows for video exchanges and faster photo messaging among friends and groups, according to CNET.com. Is that a 24-hour news channel? No. Is it? Whatever. The Monday update came just days after the social network said that its homemade messaging application now has a monthly audience of 200 million people. Most notably, this version 5.0 of Facebook Messenger includes a new messaging interface, meaning people will now see a single row of icons that gives them quick access to insert content such as voice messages, pictures, videos, and stickers into their chats. How very cool. I use the Facebook Messenger for my cousin in Germany, who you hear at the beginning of the show say, Mike's Daily Podcast. So I could talk to her instantly through the messages and sort of circumvent Skype, which we use quite a bit. Also new are improved search options and a way to download sticker packs. What the hell is... Oh, collections of larger and more expressive emoji. What the heck? Don't understand. It's weird. In essence, it says, the company has tweaked Messenger's message design to promote the various types of sharing that the app allows with nearly everything, including camera photo captures just a single tap away. What? I don't know. Facebook said a similar version is going to be coming out, but very slowly to the people with Android. Because Facebook people hate Android people. Facebook hates Google. Messenger is part of a growing suite of singular applications the social network is using to appeal to mobile audiences with varied tastes. In fact, Mark Zuckerberg himself now takes a 3-tiered approach to mobile, where its native application brings in the money. Instagram, WhatsApp, which, he just spent, $19 billion, and Messenger act as recruiting vehicles for Facebook. What? I've been recruited for Facebook? How come I don't get a check? So, why don't they sponsor the show? I just gave them a big sponsorship on the show, and there I was asking for a sponsorship. I'm sick of Stephen Colbert. So, what do you think about all of this Facebook? It's okay, Basil. My boxer is concerned. It's okay. It's good. Do you want to talk to the people? Here, say hi. That's how he says hi. He blows air through his nose into the microphone. Am I going to disinfect the microphone? No. So what do you think about this whole Facebook we-did-be and Stephen Colbert and poking fun at the 24-hour news channels and network news, which are completely horrible and unreliable as it is anyway, except for CNET, because apparently I just quoted them. Email me, mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. We read your comments on the section emails from email. Also email me there if you'd like to be a guest on the show or if you'd like to sponsor the show. We'd sure like to hear from you, and we'd love to read your emails at emails from email on that feature. Also check out the other things that we have at the website, MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST-Art-4-28-14, a phenomenal spot where you can find links to where to listen to the show in iTunes. Of course, we are there, and you can subscribe to us there and get the show downloaded to your device as soon as it is posted. There's also links to where to listen to the show on Facebook. In fact, like the Facebook page, when I post a new show, share it with your friends so that more people find out about Mike's Daily Podcast. There's also links to where to listen to us on YouTube, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Stitcher, Mixcloud. We're on Twitter. We're on Yelp. And we also have the new Mike's Daily Podcast Radio that you can listen to this show along with some cool music 24 hours a day. There's also a link to the Amazon deal of the day. Click on that and buy something, and that helps out the show. And there's the blog and the daily podcast picture at mikesdailypodcast.com. Now, we were going to do this.
It's Bison Bentley's. Do you know that?
No, we're not going to do that. Sorry, Bison. I know I promoted that yesterday, but I was wrong. That's all right. Oh, so you don't have an issue with me promoting something and then not following through with it? No, Mike, you know what? My life is full of dashed dreams. Do you know that? Oh, that's so sad. Yeah, it is. What's that noise in the background? The dryer is going now. Ah! And Sean Hannity is like making billions of dollars right now. Do you know that? He is. He's known by the world over. And that makes me a little sad. But you know what makes me happy is knowing that I don't have to watch or listen to him. I can just listen to the sound of my dryer. It sounds beautiful. Do you know that? Okay, so now we do.
The MIKELOPEDIA INSANICA.
This is an amazing book. It's called The MIKELOPEDIA INSANICA, full of all kinds of fascinating facts you probably didn't know about. And let's see. Let's start with the letter A. What topic can we find? Oh, arts. Some interesting story about arts.
Come along, baby, we better make a start. You better make it soon before you break my heart. I wanna be with you everywhere.
Starting off our stories with a very, very happy story, a story with a happy ending. A little more than a year ago, Stevie Nicks told Rolling Stone magazine there was, quote, no more a chance of an asteroid hitting Earth than of Christine McVie returning to Fleetwood Mac. Well, according to Rolling Stone magazine, it might be the time to prepare for Armageddon. The keyboardist and singer, who quit the Mac in 1998 after 3 decades with the group, is returning for a major tour this year and possibly a new album. McVie joined Fleetwood Mac in 1970, not long after she married the group's bassist John McVie, and she wrote and sang many of their most enduring hits, including the one we just heard, Everywhere, also Don't Stop, Little Lies, and You Make Lovin' Fun. But when she left the band 16 years ago, she swore that she would never come back. And then she retired to her remote estate in the English countryside. Quote, I developed a great fear of flying, and I really wanted to leave Los Angeles. I had some deluded idea about living the country lady life, basically hang out with my Range Rover and my dogs and bake cookies or something. I don't know what I was thinking, really. I just wanted to live a normal domestic life with roots. Well, the rest of the family begged her, the rest of the band begged her to reconsider. But when it became clear her decision was final, they regrouped as a 4-piece and launched a series of highly successful tours. Almost once a year, we'd check in with her, says Lindsey Buckingham. She burned a lot of bridges, pretty much cut all her ties with Los Angeles, and really just wanted to pursue a completely different pared-down life. After separating from her second husband, McVie began questioning her life choices. Quote, I realized I couldn't just sit in the country and rot away. I thought to myself, I have to go for it. Those people are my family. With help from a therapist, she got over her fear of flying, and last year in London, she joined the band on stage for the song Don't Stop. It was effortless, she says. I looked around the stage and everyone was just smiling. It felt right. Right now, Fleetwood Mac is they're doing some demos and sketching out a set list for their upcoming tour. Lindsey Buckingham says, there are songs that Stevie and I have to do, and once you add in Christine's hits, you pretty much have your set. Looking forward, and hopefully she records some songs. It was looking like she was never going to come back, but this is awesome news.
Ooh, that smell. The smell of death around you.
Smells. Oakland-based Juniper Ridge bottles the essence of the West Coast into cologne, soap, and sprays named for the regions they were sourced from, like Yuba River and Big Sur, and sold internationally. Founder Hall Newbegin, yes, his name is Newbegin, like New Beginning. That's awesome. I want that name. He's a wilderness forager and accidental perfumer. He got his start in herbs, doing harvesting for various companies, as well as mushroom foraging, or what I like to call trying to kill yourself foraging. You never know which one is safe to eat. He loved the smell of the outdoors and wondered why no one had tried to preserve it. I'm a backpacker and a hiker, he says. I've just always seen the world through my nose. This according to Diablo magazine. You can't exactly enroll in a course on wilderness perfume, so Newbegin sought information on techniques used hundreds of years ago. He says you go back to these old books, and there are all these chemical drawings from people in the 15th century. It turns out you can make a fragrance from just about anything. He says, I found you can take dirt and tincture it, and the ocean contributes to what the air smells like, so we fool around with seaweed and mussels. That's just the joy of doing what we do. You're out there and grabbing things like, what does this smell like? Juniper Ridge's Field Lab van has a converted whiskey still to sample things on the road, but the team breaks out the big guns when it comes to producing the perfumes. He says, quote, we get large amounts of plant material. A 500-gallon still is about 7 feet high and 4 feet wide. You fill that thing up with redwood needles, and you've only got a beer bottle of essential oil. The hardest part of the job isn't out in the field, but convincing people to give Juniper Ridge a shot. He says we started using the term wilderness perfume, and people are like, I hate perfume. They're the people we're after because people who hate perfume love our stuff. That reminds me of the Kramer episode in Seinfeld where he's trying to make a perfume out of the beach. Do you remember that? Such a funny show. Ha ha.
Climb on every run, and may you stay forever young. May you stay forever young.
Bob Dylan. Bob found a box of lyrics from 1967, says T-Bone Burnett. This, according to Rolling Stone magazine. Bob Dylan, in 1967, it was the year he was hiding out in Woodstock, cutting demos with the band. Yes, the band that came to be known as the Basement Tapes. During that time, Dylan would, quote, write all day upstairs, then go down and record whatever they had time to, says T-Bone Burnett. Dylan passed 24 unrecorded lyrics on to T-Bone, who met Dylan playing guitar on 1975's Rolling Thunder Review Tour. Burnett then recruited a dream band. Elvis Costello, Marcus Mumford of Mumford & Sons, Jim James of My Morning Jacket, Rhiannon Giddens of Carolina Chocolate Drops, and Taylor Goldsmith of Dawes. It wasn't a hard sell, says Burnett. The musicians plus Burnett gathered for 2 weeks in March at Capitol Studios in L.A., turning Dylan's lyrics into songs. Instrumental switching was constant. Costello handled some bass, Mumford held down the drum kit. I wanted to approach it like Bob did, Burnett says. Go downstairs with some lyrics and see what happens. The musicians had different approaches to the material. Costello poured over the handwriting, picking up on the rhythm of Dylan's writing, where a doodle might indicate a pause between stanzas. Jim James of My Morning Jacket liked to let the music expand to fit every syllable. Marcus Mumford was the least reverent. Quote, just because they're Dylan lyrics doesn't mean you can't F with them, he says. It's all right to take the bottom half and embellish it with phrases from the top half. These were unfinished lyrics. They're on the D list. He says the A list was on his own records. The B list were the Basement Tapes, and the C list were the bootlegs. Of course, Dylan's scraps are better than anyone else's finished product. He says, we got our grubby mitts on a gold mine. The groups recorded more than 40 songs, in many cases wildly divergent versions of the same track. The same words in a ballad or a hoedown, Burnett says. Costello, James, Goldsmith each brought a clutch of demos. Mumford sometimes found himself hammering out a song in 10 minutes. Or as Costello puts it, quote, Marcus went off in the other room and wrote what in a happier time would be a hit record. Nobody knows which tracks will make the LP, but it has a title, Lost on the River, the new Basement Tapes, and it is set for the fall for release. Some have compared it to Mermaid Avenue, where Billy Bragg and Wilco adapted Woody Guthrie's lyrics. Costello disagrees. Here the author is alive, he says. He might take it up with us if he doesn't like it. Would Costello ever hand over his back pages? Quote, I don't know if I have the volume, he says. Dylan's got a head start on most of us in many ways.
Money, get back. I'm all right, Jack. Keep your hands off of my stack.
Oh, money. Sort of important if you're trying to make art in San Francisco. Not that you would want to do that, because you would be basically broke in a day. But if you're trying to get to San Francisco, wear some flowers in your hair if you want to be old and cliche. But motorists are paying more money to drive across the Golden Gate Bridge as new toll rates went into effect recently. This according to Pleasanton Weekly. The Golden Gate Bridge Highway and Transportation District's Board of Directors approved the toll hike on February 28th as the district faces $142 million in deficit over the next 5 years. The fast track rate, and the fast track is this thing that you put on your window and you can pay online instead of having to go through the actual toll gate and waiting and trying to find your money and waiting in a long line that takes forever. You can just cruise right through. It usually is much faster. The fast track rate went up from $5 to $6, and the pay-by-plate rate increased from $6 to $7. The carpool rate, which requires a fast track, went up from $3 to $4. Tolls will gradually rise by 25 cents in July of 2015, then 2016, 2017, and 2018. By July 2018, the fast track rate will be $7, and the pay-by-plate rate will be $8. Do you still want to move to the Bay Area? Or do you already live here? Do you still want to drive into the city? It makes more sense to ride BART at this rate. The toll hikes, unless that price goes up, which it always does, the toll hikes are estimated to raise $138 million for the district over the next 5 years. Oh, good for them. Yay! As we go outside of the last place on earth where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast, somewhere in Podcaster Valley, California, I think I can still hear the dryer going. My clothes are being dried. Thank God for that.
And here's today's podcast picture.
Well, Bison, we didn't have the Do You Know Dat segment this time around. Next time, we'll do it in a couple of days. We'll do it then. But Bison Bentley, you are on the podcast picture. You're in the drawing. Mike, that's fantastic. I am elated. Do you know that? And it is a picture of the two of us contemplating a 50-foot tall frappe, or frappuccino, or frap, or whatever you want to call it. And how I'm addicted to those. And in fact, I'm finishing up one right now. Oh, it's so good. Oh, Java chip. A little bit of chips. Ew, that's disgusting. Do you know that? You know, tomato, frappe. Yeah, it doesn't work. I know, I'm so funny. Netta Ulaby. What a name. I want to go by the name Netta for the rest of the show. Can we do that, Bison? Sure, Mike, that's great. Netta Mike. No, it'd be Netta Matthews. Yeah, Netta Mike. All right, so yeah, that's MikesDailyPodcast.com to see that picture. And then there's also tomorrow, we're going to hear from Alex Fossella. I believe it's Fossella. I see two L's next to each other. Maybe it's Fossella. But anyway, Alex, he's of the podcast Modern Day Philosopher. He does that show with Danny Lobell. He is a very funny comedian. And he speaks to these big-name comedians like Andy Kindler, who is just one of my favorites. Such a fun, weird, smart man. And other great comedians. Mark Maron he's talked to. Lewis Black. Oh, some of my favorites. Anyway, what they do is they discuss philosophers. And Alex picks out a philosopher or a falafel. Sure. I don't know what that is, but maybe he picks those out. A falafel cake? I'll take one of those and a philosopher. And he picks one out specifically for that comedian. And they discuss the philosopher. The comedian discusses how he relates to that philosopher. And then they talk about all kinds of things. It's a great podcast. I think they do it every 2 weeks, sometimes every week. I'm not sure exactly, but you can find out more about that on tomorrow's show. We'll be talking to Alex Fossella I'll go with that one. Or fusilli. And hopefully, Alex, maybe we'll have a philosopher for me that I can have and share and put under my pillow at night and hold and cuddle and love. Like I love Basil the Boxer. You hate me, don't you? Gosh. I can never be good enough for you, can I, Basil? Oh, I can? Good. We'll also hear from the wonderful Chely Shoehart, Floyd the Floorman, and John Deere the engineer. Mark and Rossio, I just got a job with NPR because of my crazy voice, madam, and my name, Madame Rootabega. Ooh! Wow, madam, how's the job going? It's going great. I have to type a lot, so on the computer. And the one thing that I hate is when I'm typing and typing and typing, and then I realize that I have got the cap lock on. Ooh, I hate that too. Yeah. And then you have to go back and retype everything. Such a bummer.
Mike, Stephen Colbert, and Sean Hannity are here, and they want to punch your lights out, they.
Oh. Huh. What should I do?
I could punch the lights out for you, they.
Punch my lights out for me?
No, punch their lights, they.
Seriously, I don't know what you're saying.
I'm seriously about to punch you.
Oh, I understood that. No. Take those guys out for me.
Okay, help me out, Bison Bentley.
I don't condone violence, but okay. Wow, that was a quick fight. Be glad you couldn't see it. Even with the video now on the Facebook Messenger.
Mike, you're trying to do a callback and it's not working.
So perceptive.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST-Art.4-28-14. Email Mike now at MIKES-DAILY-PODCAST@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!
No well-paid white TV personalities were hurt in the creation of this podcast. I got a great dryer.